in America, many of us still believe in the American dream. But why are we still not happy? Why are we struggling to own our own home, to find a job? Do we still have faith that our government representatives have a heart? And do they care about the people who actually put them into office? Join us as we sit one-on-one with America's congresspeople and ask the questions that will reveal what is at the heart and soul of the people who decide our lives. Hi, I'm Sister Jenna. Let's do Soul Talk. Hi and welcome to Soul Talk. I finally got Mrs. Annette Lantos on the couch. Annette Lantos, a Holocaust survivor, is also the chairwoman of the Lantos Foundation for Human Rights and Justice. Wife of the late Congressman Tom Lantos, Annette worked full-time in her husband's office throughout his 3 decades. She served as the unpaid executive director of the Congressional Human Rights Caucus, which Congressman Lantos founded. We are going to be exploring some very deep questions about life and how experience shapes our lives. But more than anything else, for the last 57 years, she was married to former Congressman Tom Lantos. He was the only Holocaust survivor that's been elected to the United States Congress. Can you believe that? And for 27 years, Annette and Tom, this is Congressman Tom Lantos, worked together on the Hill, exploring ways and how we could make the country better. But more than anything else, they worked on human rights issues and together created the first human rights caucus on Capitol Hill. It is now turned into the Tom Lantos Human Rights, and we are so honored and so thrilled to be with you today, because having you on the couch. And what is this little puppy called? NATO? NATO. No, that's a good name for a puppy, right? Is meaningful to me. And I was telling you before we got on air how I've always enjoyed being with individuals who are older than I was, because I love learning. And what you bring to the table is experience, something that's missing in the story. And I want us to talk about life's questions, some of the most important issues that we're grappling with today in this country. But before we go there, I want to know the things that you know. I know that we've had discussions about meditation, we've had discussions about soul, we've spoken about the interest of this country, and I think more than anything else, I'd like to hear your thoughts on what is your definition of consciousness. When you think about consciousness, what comes into your mind?
Well, that's a pretty deep question, but when I think about consciousness, I think about being aware of our soul and spirit, and I'm a very spiritual person, and my life does not make any sense to me unless I relate it to eternity. And I believe that we are here to, all of us have some important mission to fulfill in this world. And I think that how content we are at the age where I am now depends on how well we have become conscious of what our mission was in this life, and how well we fulfilled it, and how well we were able to communicate it to those who were part of our experience. That's basically what right now is, deducted from the experiences of my experience of my life.
Now you too are a Holocaust survivor.
Yes.
Did you know your husband, Congressman Tom Lantos, when you were together?
Yes, we have known each other all our lives, since we were very young. My family knew my father was a good friend of my husband's family, and very early in our life, I think the two families decided that that their children should get married. We were both only children in those days, in the 1930s. You know, people were brave to have even one child. You know, then people were very reluctant to let down roots, because we never knew when everything would be lost and destroyed. And so both of our parents, you know, both Tom's parents and my parents, were very brave to even have one child.
Wow.
And very early they decided, hopefully, that if we survive the terrible things that we were going through in the 30s and 40s, we were hoping to unite our families.
Now, I know that you have been on a very spiritual journey, because we have had a lot of discussions in the past. And when we talk about soul, I'm curious to find out what is your understanding at this point as to what is the soul? What is your definition of the soul?
Well, soul and spirit are two separate concepts in my mind. My spirit, I relate to my consciousness, to my awareness, the doer within me. The soul, I relate more, you know, to the body, the home that I occupy. Yeah, that's my understanding. Right. And that is the way I'm manifesting in this world. Yeah. But I believe that I am the conscious doer.
Right. Because, you know, from I met you, I've always felt like I was connected to you spiritually, soul to soul. Like when I look at you, behind your eyes, I have a connection with you.
Oh,
it's not just with the body, it's at a soul level.
Exactly.
You know? And I think that takes me to my interest in why we're doing Soul Talk as a conversation.
Yes.
This country, America, you have seen it go through a lot of different stages.
Yes.
I'm sure you fought many battles on the Hill with your husband.
Yes.
To keep this country going in what you might think is a good direction. Here you are. You've gone through quite a number of wars and situations and circumstances. You've survived the Holocaust. What is your perfect vision for this country?
Well, for me, this country represents the best hope for mankind, for freedom, for the ability to express spiritually who you are, and feel that the certain amount of opportunity to not to be handicapped by unnecessary rules, regulations, prejudices, oppressions, the kind that my husband and I lived through in our youth in Europe, where you were persecuted for your religion, for your faith, for your beliefs, and the people never dared to completely become who they were meant to be, because they had to be constantly worried how that will run into trouble with the authorities.
We do have a lot of freedom here. We have a lot of freedom here. And one of the crusades that I've been on is to try to advocate more meditation and more spirituality. When we opened the Meditation Museum in Washington, you were there along with a lot of my friends, and you said something that's on our website till today. You said that meditation should be a human rights issue, where people can use meditation as a means of curing a lot of the issues that are taking place. Tell us, how can we bring meditation and spirituality into this culture more? Do you have any ideas?
Well, I think meditation is the way to connect with your eternal reality. I mean, everybody in this world is concerned about their own mortality, and everybody is aware of the fact that few years we are granted in this body cannot be everything there is to us. And so the only way that, really the best way that we can connect with our eternal reality and get some idea where we came from and where we are going is through meditation.
Nice. Sometimes people think meditation and spirituality doesn't stimulate an economy. It doesn't stimulate an economy. It doesn't.
Economy?
Yeah, they think that meditation and spirituality doesn't make money, so to speak, like war makes money for a country, so to speak, right? When you go to war, it's a big money-making industry. So a lot of times when you go to spirituality or meditation, sometimes people think, well, there's no money in that. Can a culture like America advocate more meditation and spirituality, and can it make its economy very vibrant?
Well, I think a vibrant economy depends on individuals who are fully realized people who are able to function on a mental and spiritual and bodily level. And definitely meditation is part of the realization of our spirituality and of our eternal reality, which makes us function much more effectively and much more consciously during the brief period that we manifest here in this world.
What are your thoughts about reincarnation? Do you believe the soul comes back and plays another part?
Well, I personally believe in reincarnation.
Because you must be looking to find this beautiful soul somewhere.
Yes, I believe. I don't think much about reincarnation, but I definitely believe that we live after our spirit goes on living after our body wears out.
Yeah, I remembered once, a lot of times when I meet people, there's a feeling like I know you.
Yes, we had that feeling with my husband when we met when we were very young.
Yeah, so I have one really important question, because you have gone through many generations of life, you've seen a lot, you have endured a lot.
Yes.
And current generation perhaps hasn't seen half of what you've gone through. What are you, Annette Lantos, absolutely sure of at this stage in your life?
What am I sure of?
What are you absolutely sure of at this stage in your life?
I'm absolutely sure that there is a God. That there is a God, and that I was created by that God. We all were created by that God, and that some aspect of ourselves is immortal and will have eternal life. And I believe that I'm going to meet all those people, all those whom I have loved in this life, that we are, and who have passed away. We shall meet again in eternity.
In our country, we get a chance to practice whatever our religious beliefs are. Yes. In certain countries, you're not allowed to have that freedom of religion, which is, to me, I think, is a very spiritual aspect of America already, naturally.
Religious freedom is
very rare.
Very basis of all of our other freedoms.
Absolutely,
in America.
Absolutely.
Totally. If that doesn't exist, all the other freedoms are irrelevant. They just cannot be there.
That's so true.
Yeah.
You spoke about God earlier. What's your definition of this energy that the whole world somehow talks about, knows about, but still I question, is there a deep experience of this energy? Is it a very obvious story in the world today? Do you, Annette Lantos, have a clear definition of what God is to you in your mind?
God is my ultimate reality, my creator, how I imagine whether I will meet him at the throne. There are, people who imagine God as and maybe I do too, as the ultimate embodiment of everything, that the best in who we are and what we are, because he created us. We create our children. He created us, so he must be something like us. That's how I never really thought about it. But now that you ask me, that is how I truly imagine God. He's a highly perfected, the best that we can imagine and way beyond that. But he's something like us.
Beautiful. There's a part in Genesis.
I don't imagine him as an abstract. Spirit, that has no relationship to.
There is a saying in Genesis where it says, I'm made in the image of my Father,
Yes.
and He's light. And I remembered being very young, thinking about what that meant. And I used to always think about this energy that I am, that there is an energy moving this body. And is the energy in the body needing to have an energy connection to that God, to that supreme energy? And sometimes, and when I was 16, I used to have these thoughts, you know, and today I feel like it's really a relationship to what you shared, the goodness that you are. That God has this good energy in that being, and I just need to remember that energy more so I can feel firm that I'm not alone.
Yeah, I never really thought about much, but you know, I do believe He created us,
Right.
and He created us like He is Himself.
Yeah, beautiful people, people.
Exactly.
Well, I've been enjoying being in your company, and I was curious, is there anything that you would like to share that's on the top of your heart? Like any special message that you would like to share?
Well, my great hope is that the world is becoming a better place with a more just and more fair distribution of the wealth and values and opportunities for everybody. My great hope is that we are evolving towards a more just reality for all human beings. And I think that the 20th century that I have lived through was so terrible and so many horrors were perpetrated that I think mankind is gradually awakening that to our brotherhood, that we can't allow part of mankind to persecute, oppress, and kill their brothers. I mean, that I really think that the most important hope for me is that we are going to awaken to the fact that we are all one and united, created by a supreme being whose purpose was that we should learn how to love each other so that we can love God. Because
Do you think meditation and spirituality will be a method to get us there?
oh, I think definitely meditation, spirituality, and prayer. I do definitely believe that prayer is the bridge to deeper meditation.
Contemplation, prayer,
Yes,
having a conversation inside with the higher
exactly.
being. Yeah.
It's I believe that you need a bridge to your inner self because you know we live so much in our ego self, and we have to tune out of that before we can get into our higher self. And I find that I myself find that prayer is the bridge.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful. Thank you. You are a gift, and I think when I spend time with voices of wisdom, like I said earlier on in the show, being with the elders is being with experience, something that we are losing in our narrative. And I'd like to thank everyone for joining on Soul Talk. We had Annette Lantos, one of the most profound voices of this culture and time, on the couch. Thanks very much. Hope to see you soon.